How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the channel. The home is where the heart is. In this case, Dahomey is where the hearty is. Where the heart is an achievement where you start as Dahomey, and by 1500 there shouldn't be any non-fetishist nations in Niger and Sahel areas of Western Africa. I would say this achievement is very hard. Dahomey starts as a 1 province minor with 3 development. That's a 111 province. And there are a whole lot of non-fetishist nations in Western Africa, Mali and Songhai to name a couple of stronger ones. So defeating all those nations, starting as a 1 province minor with minimum dev before 1500 is actually difficult, and RNG will play a significant part in it. Any timed achievement has some RNG element to it, and when you add starting as a low OPM, the randomness factor scales up a fair bit. So for this video, I won't give a typical step-by-step guide on the achievement, as your game will be a lot different than mine. What I will do instead is give some general tips that help me get this achievement, and quickly go through my successful run to give my perspective on things. I say successful run because you will need to restart a couple of times to complete this achievement. It is very doable, just remember that this is a 50-year game. Dahomey starts surrounded by fetishist nations, which is unlucky as you would rather start cleansing the heathen soon, but sacrifice must be made for the greater good. So we will attack either Dagbon or Oyo to start. One of the most optimal starts I found was when I could ally Mossi, Benin and Zazao at the start. Mossi and Benin will almost always start friendly, but Zazao might not. So I recommend you start till Zazao is friendly as well. The reason is that Zazao at the start has a 4-4-5 general, which is rather strong, so it's preferable they fight on our side. Send your merchants to trade nodes and set them on improve relations option. This will help mitigate the aggressive expansion somewhat. Focus on military tech all game, and don't take any other tech. Use admin points to core and keep stability at +3, Diplo points to buy down war exhaustion and buy province development in provinces with gold mines, and use military points for tech primarily. You can also sparingly use it for harsh treatment on rebels. Money is inconsequential. You will have a ton of loans all game. Just keep paying them with higher loans and take money from war whenever you can. Early access to gold mines also helps a lot. Try your best not to let the rebels spawn. They are a big pain and will drain your manpower and money for no return. Raise autonomy and use harsh treatment if needed. Get 2 vassals, or at least 1. Both need to be a Muslim nation though, so you can feed them a lot of Muslim land, which will mean less rebel problems. Never betray your allies in war for this run. Give them the land you promised them. Your allies will be fetishists too, so let them shoulder the cost of coring and dealing with rebels. Always make sure you have 2 expansion routes for declaring war. Keep this in mind when you give land to allies as well. And finally, keep the achievement in mind when playing. It requires that no non-fetishist nations exist, which means there can be as many non-fetishist provinces as you start with. What matters is they are under a fetishist nation. So don't use missionaries either, they will just cause more rebel problems. There are a few ways to take care of non-fetishist nations. 1. You can conquer them whole and take all provinces for yourself, which will mean a whole lot of admin points to core. 2. You can divide the conquered provinces between you and your fetishist allies or your vassals. Make sure your vassals are Muslim so you can feed them Muslim provinces and then enforce religion on them at the end. And with that, let's look at my achievement run, how I managed it and which silly mistakes I made. I allied Benin, Mossi and Zazao at the start, then started spy network construction in Dagbon and Oyo. As a fetishist nation, you can also choose a cult at the start. Always go for the land attrition one. It will save you a lot of manpower and money. First war was against Oyo. They were allied to Dagbon and Kano. I decided to call in just Mossi for this war. Make sure you build your force limit here. 1 infantry and 1 cavalry is good. Kano was attacked by someone during war, so they white pieced after a bit, and I was able to full annex Dagbon, take Kitu and Oyo for me, and give Moshi to Mossi. You need to rush Dagbon first and siege down provinces before Mossi gets to it. That's one of your main expansion route to the west. Next war was against Bonoman, which was now allied to Oyo and Kano. I decided not to call in my allies for this because I saw Kano likely won't get military access to get here, And I knew taking on Oyo and Bonoman armies separately was easy. Also, I couldn't give Mossy any provinces, as again, I wanted this expansion route to remain open for me. This war wasn't that hard. Kano was attacked by someone, so they white peaced after a bit, then I full annexed Oyo and Bonoman later. Next I was waiting for the claims, and I decided to wait a bit more so I could grab military tech 3 before war. My next war was against Nupe, as this would be my other expansion route. Plan was to keep switching back and forth between the two routes so I could chain war. Nupe had a couple of allies, so I decided to call in Zizao for this one. One of their allies was Gen, who I realized would be great as a vassal. They are small, so easy to vassalize, they have claims all around them, and they have a level 3 fort, so it would be more difficult for enemies to siege it down, and they are Muslim, making them an ideal candidate to feed all Muslim provinces. So I vassalized Gen. This would ensure that I could feed most of Messina, Songhai and Timbuktu to them. Zizao didn't really do anything in this war except get full sieged and provide distraction for the enemy, so I didn't need to give them anything and I could full annex Nupe. Once I full annexed them, Benin decided to break the alliance and rival me. He wanted to be friends with the heathens for some reason. Then I attacked Kong next. They had Yao as an ally and I called in Mossy. I took just one province from them as Mossy had occupied the gold mine and I wanted it for myself. I would get it in a future war. Next war was against Messina using my new vassal Gen's claim. They were allied to Air and I called in Mossy again on promise of land. It wasn't a difficult war and I gave one province to Mossy and rest of it to Gen, but I did not full annex Messina here as I was a bit worried about a coalition and I wasn't really ready to deal with it at this point. So it's 1464 and I was looking okay. I was neighboring a lot of countries which meant I could continue chain wars. But I was getting a bit worried about a coalition as the bigger nations were a bit pissed off, and unfortunately for me, Mali was allied to Songhai. So I decided to hire an improved relations guy here, even though my economy was abysmal and I was constantly losing money. I just hoped that would be good enough. Because I didn't have time to wait and let the AE tick down, my next war was against Kano to the east. They were allied to Air and Yao and I decided to call in Zizao again, hoping they would be more useful this time. I pieced out Air for some money and war reps and then took Rano and Baram from Kano. Their capital is very high def, so I decided to not take it right now. I was still wary of that potential coalition. Next, I attacked Katsina, who were already in war against Songhai and Kano. They were allied to Timbuktu and I figured I could feed some provinces to my vassals from there. Weird thing happened though. Katsina was full annexed by Kano in their war, so Timbuktu became the war leader and they couldn't even call their allies. It became a very easy war and I gave all provinces except their capital to Gen. Now it's 1470 and we are looking good. Aggressive expansion is still a bit of factor, although Songhai and Mali were already allied, so it couldn't get much worse. That's when I realized that Katsina was back. Separatist rebels broke away from Kano and reformed Katsina, a brand new nation with no allies. It made easy pickings and I vassalized Katsina. They were at war with Zizao too though, so when I vassalized them, I had to fight Zizao. I white peaced them eventually, but lost my alliance. Now the aggressive expansion was getting a bit too much. If Air and Yao joined the coalition, I wouldn't have anyone to declare against. So I decided to take care of it by making truces separately with potential coalition partners. I attacked Han and Borneo next, who were allied to Songhai. They were already fighting Yao, so it seemed like a good time to attack them. I beelined to Songhai capital fort, got lucky as I had a general with 2 siege pips. I decided to humiliate Songhai and take all the money. In hindsight, I should have taken a few provinces from them, but I was just thinking about getting a truce with Songhai so they don't join a coalition. Then I white peaced Kanem as they were occupied and I wanted to start another war and finish off Kong and start whittling down Mali. This war was tricky. Kong was allied to Mali, Messina and Timbuktu, which was nice in one way as I wanted all those provinces, but it also meant I had to fight a lot of armies. I called in Mossy with promise of land. From this war, I full annexed Messina and Timbuktu, taking those provinces for myself as my vassals were getting a bit too big. Then I took a couple of provinces including one gold mine from Mali and gave one province to my ally. It was already 1478 and I still had to conquer all of Songhai, Air, Yao and part of Mali. I was starting to get a bit worried actually, but now I had 2 gold mines which meant my economy wasn't on the verge of collapse anymore. So next I decided to take on Air. They were allied to Songhai, and I realized I needed to take some provinces from Songhai at this point as I couldn't full annex them in one war, and time was running out fast. So I took some provinces from them and broke their alliance with Mali and Yao, hoping that my fetishist ally would take a hint and attack them soon. I full annexed Air in this war, partitioning them between my vassal Katsina and me. The rebels were getting a bit much now, and I was worried about multiple rebel spawns, which I certainly did not have time for. So I decided to hire the Undress guy, further straining my economy. But on the bright side, Mozi declared to take the initiative for once and declared on Songhai. It was Songhai and Kano against Mozi and Zhao, which should have been easy, but AI being AI almost screwed it up. In the meantime, I decided to attack Kano and get Yao in the war as well. Yao were allied to Wolof and Mali, and I wasn't sure I wanted to face all three together without any allies. I took some provinces from Yao, so when their truce ended, I would still have time to finish them off before 1500. Then I full annexed Kano and gave them to my vassal. The AI had done its job though and cut down Songhai even further, making my future job easier. Now it was 1485, only 15 years to go, and I had truces with Mali, Songhai and Yao, all of which I needed to conquer. At some point in game, the Fulo event had fired, and Wolof managed to full annex them, and my vassal would not fabricate claim on Wolof for some reason. So my plan here was to attack Mali in 1488, take the Niger provinces from them, then fabricate on Wolof myself and attack them as soon as possible. Then attack Songhai in 1494 and Yao in 1497. I could also truce break at the end, but I was convinced I had just enough time. 1488 rolls by and it's time for war against Mali. And lo and behold, they are allied to Yao, which in hindsight I should have thought about. But whatever, I decided to go with it. They were also allied to Benin, so I pieced out Benin for some money. Then over to Yao, I realized I couldn't full annex them. I couldn't co-belligerent them because of the truce. So if I took all provinces I could, truce would go beyond 1500. But if I white pieced, I could bring the truce back to 1495, so that's what I did. By the way, quickly here for the government reforms, take the manpower for first one, then religious unity for the second, because your religious unity will suffer a lot. I also started debasing my currency at this point because I needed the money. So I managed to piece out Mali before my truce with Songhai ended. You don't need to full annex them as you only need provinces from the Niger region. It's 1494 and I have made the same mistake again. And now stupid Yao is allied to Songhai. So now I decided to just wait till 1495 when Yao truce was over, so I could attack them and co-belligerent Songhai. And to my luck, Yao and Wolof were allied as well, so I could finish off the achievement with one last big war. It was risky and an awful lot to do in under 5 years. While waiting for the truce timer, I realized I could now embrace feudalism in 1494. I was paying 94% tech penalty at this point. But more importantly, this would allow me to get the next military tech, which means quicker wars. So I took some loans on top of my pile of loans and did it. The war was tough, and I managed to quick piece Wolof for the 4 provinces in Niger region, then full annex Songhai, and finally Yao. It was August of 1499, and I have cut it a bit too close. But I managed it nonetheless. There were no non-fetishist nations in Niger or Sahel region anymore, well except my subjects, so I enforced religion on them. Done and done. I am 90% overextended and have some rebel issues. My vassals are 100% disloyal and will ally each other and declare independence war anytime now. I have 19 loans, almost 2300 ducats worth, and bankruptcy is looming. I would go bankrupt in less than a year. I have 49% tech penalty with level 2 admin, level 2 diplo, and level 6 military tech, giving me nice unbalanced research penalty. So my corruption is 22 thanks to the unbalanced research and debasing my currency. And my inflation is 24 from all the loans. But I have completed the achievement, and it was a super fun run actually. I could have done a couple of things better and timed some truces more in my favor, and I think the run would go better if you beeline Mali first, as getting those gold mines is key to some early money. This achievement is actually very hard, and really you aren't meant to play after this. I mean, technically I could go bankrupt myself and be okay. I have truces with all the neighbors, so I should be okay for 5 years. I could release my vassals so we get a truce timer too, and I could attack them again once the bankruptcy effects are gone. It could be done, but I'm certainly not doing it. Like I said, I had a lot of fun starting as a 3-dev 1-province miner and taking over Western Africa in 50 years. And I hope you guys were able to get some pointers from this video and learn from my mistakes. Playing in Africa is actually fun with new set of challenges different from playing in Europe. Give this achievement a try when you can. I hope this video helps. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.